Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Invincible Minds podcast, where we discover the mindsets behind Africa's most inspiring people. I'm your host, Collins Yatanga. Today's guest is a force for the next generation. I am so excited to have her on the podcast today. From viral grammar and confidence lessons to packed online classes, Blessing Frimpong, also known as Teacher Blessing. She is here with us on Invincible Minds. She has helped thousands of young Africans speak clearer, stand taller, and show up for their dreams. Beyond that, Blessing is a journalist on national TV in Ghana. She has also built a global online platform with millions of followers, and she lives her purpose in serving others through her non-profit foundation, Teacher Blessing Outreach. I am so excited to have Teacher Blessing with us today. So let's get ready for class because the teacher is here. Welcome to Invincible Minds, Teacher Blessing. How are you?
Thank you, Collins. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us today. And I know
Pleasure.
we're going to talk about a lot of interesting topics. We're going to touch on your journey. We're going to touch on becoming Teacher Blessing. And of course, your magic with the social media and how you have grown globally and you're inspiring people. So we're excited to have you here.
And I am happy to be here as well. I cannot wait to share my story with you.
Wonderful. So, Blessing, thank you so much for making the time to be with us today. And just to give you a little bit of insight on our audience and our community. So, we have a community of listeners all over the world and in every corner. And what I like to do is with each guest, I like to give them an opportunity to see life through the lens of that guest and get to know them a little bit more personally. Let us begin. What was life like growing up in Ghana? Take us back to home, to the origins, to where it all began.
I was born in the Ashanti, no, not in the Ashanti region, in the central region, Dunkwa to be precise, the central region of Ghana. And we
Hmm.
moved to the Ashanti region, Obuasi to be precise. Obuasi happens to be a mining community, one of the major mining communities in Ghana. That is where I grew up. So I barely know much about my hometown where I was born, which is Dunkwa. I grew up in
Yeah.
the Ashanti region. So mostly people assume I'm an Asante, but I'm not an Asante. I'm from the central region. But where I come from, we call our tribe is Daintra. The Daintras have similarities when it comes to the Ashanti culture. So when you're able to compare cultures, you notice that they're virtually the same. We eat similar foods, we dance to the same tune, and we have the same dance
Yes.
as well. So it's literally an Ashanti. So I grew up in Obuasi. I schooled in different schools because my mother was a teacher, and as a
Okay.
trained teacher, she was sometimes moved from one school to the other. That's how they transferred trained teachers here and there. So I was moving with her because I was literally her handbag. At a point, she asked me to attend a different school so I can be on my own. That's when I went to Abu School Royal. That's a primary school in Obuasi. And then from there, I finished my junior high school at Independence, which is also another school. And then from there, I went straight to the Bono region in Ghana to study general arts. For my high school education, I studied general arts at Sunyani Senior High. There, I majored in English language, that is literature, and I also studied other aspects. But one of the major courses or top subjects I did in high school was literature. And so, yes, growing up was quite exciting. I grew up from a Christian home. My dad is a pastor.
Yeah.
So it was like a Christian home where love for God, desire for God's word. It was literally a
Yes.
taboo not to go to church on a Sunday because it looks like a sin. It was a taboo to
Yeah.
lie at home because my mom will open her eyes and tell you the Bible says that all liars will have their portion in the lake of fire. And that is the environment I grew up in. To be honest, in my
Yeah.
home, there were a lot of things we could not do or say. And those things have actually affected me now. I didn't hear my mom say abwa or kwasia. Abwa is animal and kwasia means fool. And these are things that if you want to insult somebody, or if you're mad or angry, these are words you use. I never saw my mom do that, and we couldn't do it because you do not insult people. So it was a typical Christian home where sin was sin. It was never garnished,
Hmm.
and God was God. He was the first and
Yes.
nothing else. And education was the priority because she understood education and she loved education. So she pushed us into it. So it was a life of God, a life of knowing God, serving God. And it was one also about education.
Amazing. You have touched on so many different elements, just in terms of background, from moving around to different places, the variety of different tribes, and of course, the principles and the lessons that you had from having a pastor as a dad, and then, of course,
Yeah.
your mum as the teacher. From your dad, what is one key lesson you remember in your upbringings?
There's something about my dad. He would allow my mom to be my mom and he'll be
Hmm.
himself. My mom
Yes.
was the type that will always take initiative. I always see what I'm doing now and I remember my mom because this is literally my mom, innovative, trying to bring ideas. Let's do this, let's do that. So my dad was that type of father who would not say, I am the man of the house and I'm supposed to take
Yes.
decisions, I'm supposed to do that. That instilled that kind of expectation in me. If somebody is to say that they are men, or their leaders, they should be able to give people they are leading with or people who are their followers opportunities to function within their talents and their capabilities. That's one thing I admire about my dad. If he knows that you can do this, he would definitely give you the chance. There were times where my dad would have to consult my mom because he's preparing a message for Sunday and he needs more examples or more quotations. And he will call my mom, I need quotations for this topic, and she'll always be there and available. That made me understand the beauty of unity, the beauty of understanding that strength does not only reside in one person, it's in our reliance on each other as human beings. Another thing I love about my dad is he's never old. He's 80 years old, but if you see him talking to younger people, you'd always admire him. Age is just a number for him. And I admire that about him because it makes him stay in the know and also it makes him updated. He's able to blend in and have great conversations with everybody, no matter their age. So these are the two things I really admire about him. And I know I'm definitely going to implement them. I am implementing them at the moment.
Amen, amen. Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And you said it was your dad's birthday as well last weekend. So,
Yes.
of course, happy
Yes.
birthday to him. You
Thank
mentioned
you.
also that your mum was a teacher. What inspired your mum to pursue teaching, and what was the journey with how you then became a teacher?
My mom was brilliant when she was a student. She once told us that in her school, she did not finish her school. I think when she was, let's say, around class six in our time, she was supposed to go through junior high school before going to college or attending tertiary, having her tertiary education. But because of her brilliance, she was just hopped from that level straight to college because she
Yeah,
was intelligent. Now, even in the classroom, they used to call her a witch because they had never seen a girl so brilliant. And around that
intelligent.
time,
Yeah,
that is in the 1950s, education was not something for girls, but mostly for the boys. And they saw women or girls to be at home doing chores and doing things at home, not really for education. So when she was put in school and she began to excel, she was always first in class. And so they thought there has to be something to it aside her brain. So they rather thought
yeah,
she's a witch. But through her excellence in school, her own teacher took her by hand and helped her to get a scholarship to College of Education. That is yes, Ola College of Education in the Volta region here in Ghana. And that is where she started her tertiary education. And then right after that, after coming out of the college, she started teaching. I think around that time, teaching was so noble. Around that time, If you say somebody was a teacher, that person was a repository of knowledge. The person was admired. The person was respected and adored in the community. So I think it was one of the noble professions around that time. I would say that could be the reason she decided to be a teacher. But I saw that also in her character and her behavior. She couldn't hear somebody do something in a wrong way and keep quiet. She would always correct the person, talk to the
Yeah.
person. She had a beautiful way of sharing knowledge and she was able to captivate. So I noticed it was also a natural thing for her and it was not out of place to have gone into teaching at all. So that could be these two reasons. And she also is also passionate about service and giving to people, sharing with people what she has. I think that also could have influenced her decision.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And once again, just being surrounded by parents who have such strong passions and such great vocations, I'm seeing a theme of service, a theme of serving others in how they move and operate. So we've spoken about, the influence and the inspiration. But while we're still here at the genesis of your journey, I'm interested to know, you are now a teacher today. You teach thousands of students, but what was teacher blessing like as a student? So take us back to school. What were you like as a student?
As a student, I was an ordinary student. To be precise, I was from primary school. It was totally
Yeah.
the opposite of my high school experience and then my tertiary education. At each level, I was a different person. For primary school, I was just among the many. I was never seen,
Hmm.
never heard, and I preferred being that. Ironically, at home, I wasn't like that. I was stubborn and people knew me in my community. I was totally opposite the person who was in the classroom. So in school, in school, there are these cliques, the teacher's favorites, the rich parents, children. They had cliques, the most
Yes.
famous, the most brilliant. They had cliques, and I never felt I belonged to any of them. So I was just outside, always observing, always admiring, and never wanted to be in the middle or under the spotlight in any way because I felt I didn't belong there. I was never my place. I was so worried about what people would think about me, what they would say about me. What if I made a mistake? What if I said something wrong? I was just having that inferiority complex. In primary school, I just did not have that identity, knowing myself and knowing whom I was. So primary school was just that. Junior high school was different. In junior high school,
Yeah.
my school was changed. I think that also influenced my new behavior because when I got there, I felt this is a new environment and this is a new page or chapter for me to rewrite my story. So I was trying to come out of who I used to be, becoming a new person, and that was catastrophic. That was chaotic. I think it was like a chick coming out of an egg. It doesn't look beautiful. And because I was trying to prove to myself that I can be better, I can speak, I can come out, I can be known, or I can be known for something. It was me trying to do almost everything until I was all over. And it's like when you have kept somebody or something in a cage for so long and you release the person or that bird, the bird goes all over
Yeah.
wild until they study the environment and the terrain before they can now adjust. So that period was it for me. I was exploring because it felt like liberty for me. It felt like a new life for me, and I wanted to discover myself. I was all over. So that's junior high school. Then senior high school came. That was when I met Christ, as in Jesus Christ. That was when I gave my
Hmm.
life to Jesus Christ because I was stubborn in junior high school. And due to that, my parents decided that I would have to go to a school where I will be monitored. So the school I
Mm.
attended was chosen for me because my brother, who happens to be a teacher, teaches there. So at least he could
Okay.
monitor me. So that
Yeah.
brother of mine was a saint from childhood. We all respect him. We are all shy of him because he was like a pastor from, you would have no spot on him. And such people, it's
Yeah.
difficult to misbehave in front of them because you will not have that audacity to do that. So they told me right after writing my BECE, the following day, my mom packed my stuff and told me, "You're going to live with your brother until your results come." So I went there
Yeah.
living with my brother, and as a church boy as my brother is, he would go to church on Sunday, and on Monday is Bible study. Thursday is revival hour. Saturday is choir rehearsal, and then orchestra. He also teaches the orchestra, playing instruments and all of that. And I followed him throughout the week. So I found myself in the church almost every day in the week, and being exposed to something over time, you have to adjust. So being exposed to the word, prayer, and all of that, I had to give my life to Christ. I had to be born again. So that is how I got born
That's
again. I think
amazing.
that's how my life changed. So in senior high school, I was a different person because by the time we started school, I had changed. So I was already living with my brother and I was a new person. So that was also a new me right there. And because I had changed, I was a bit tamed. So I started also with a new chapter and with a new leaf, a new person. And while I was home waiting for my results and my admission, I was in a room where my brother's library was. So I was literally sleeping with the books in my room. And that's when I started reading books out of boredom. Because if you're not in church, you'll be at home and you'll be there alone. And my brother was not the type that would sit with you and chat with you for so long. So you are going to be in your room all alone. So that's when I got exposed to the dictionary. I started learning the dictionary as if it were a book. So I started from a
Yeah.
in a chronological manner. So that was when I got exposed to it. So by the time senior high school education started, I had that all the resources I need. I had read enough, I had known a lot, and all I needed to do was to come out and share my knowledge or share my ideas. So senior high school was quite different. It was the defining moment for me. And luckily I came across great people. My brother Espat, who was a teacher, he's called Emmanuel Frimpong. He helped me to be a better person. And then Mr. Eugene Owusu, he is popularly known as Palmer. Palmer was one of my teachers and he was a patron of the is it drama group? Yeah, drama group. Yes. So I joined the drama group. So I was quite active. I wanted to be the opposite of who I used to be. So in senior high school, it was quite different for me. I came out of my shell. I became a new person. I started doing what I loved. I discovered what I loved and I pursued it right there in senior high school. And I think that informed my education at the tertiary level as well.
Yeah, no, amazing, amazing. What a journey indeed it's been. And I asked that question because I think for a lot of students, they look at teachers as the finished product. They look at
Mm,
you guys as, perfect people,
yeah.
models of how you should behave and how you should speak. So it's
Hmm.
interesting to see the journey that it takes time. We all have our growth. We all have seasons where we're experimenting, where we're trying. And I loved the analogy of the chick coming out of the egg, trying to find its wings, trying to explore. And that is the life of a student. You're constantly learning, constantly wanting to get better. And so thank you so much for sharing. And as you keep talking, you said that your mom was a teacher, your dad was a teacher, a biblical scholar, right? Your brother was a teacher. You fell in love with books and then you went into literature, drama, speaking. So, would you say that teaching found you? Like, do you feel like this was something that God has put on your path so clearly that you could not run away from it? Or how do you look at your journey and where you ended up now?
If my life were scripted by me, I wouldn't have been a teacher. It was never in my plan. It was something I deliberately run from. Because I remember after senior high school, my mother advised me. She said, "I know you're good at English, so I want you to go and further your education. You're going to specialize. You're going to study English at the tertiary level, and then you're going to do that under education. So you're going to be at the UCC, that is University of Cape Coast here in Ghana. and then you study English under education. That means that when you're done with your degree, you're going to teach in a senior high school after that. I said, no, I'm not going to be a teacher because my mom is a teacher. I have a brother who is a teacher. I have a sister who is a teacher. I have another sister who is a teacher. And I didn't want to be the fifth teacher in the family. So I remember she argued with me. She said, teaching is a noble profession. And you have no right to say you're not going to do that. Do you know how much a privilege that is to be a teacher? She was so angry that I said, no, I was not going to do it. And then her last statement was that I'm just going to wait for you, for your dad to return, and I'll report you to him. I said, okay. So she eventually told my dad. I remember one time my dad called me and said, "This is what your mom has told me. Why did you say that?" And I simply told him that you know me as my father, and you know what I'm capable of. You know I love journalism and I love communication. Wouldn't you rather that I chase what I love and what I'm passionate about than to be a teacher? Then he actually said, yes, you're right. I think you should pursue what you love and what you really love to do in life. And so that is when that conversation was closed. As long as my dad agreed, we were good to go. So it was never,
Yeah,
I run, when it was suggested to me, I had to fight my way out of it. It was never part of the plan of becoming a teacher. So I went to the Ghana Institute of Journalism. It's now the University of Media, Arts and Communication. I studied communication studies, yes. And then I specialized in journalism. So I started with journalism. It was never part of the plan until this whole teacher blessing came up. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Today, you are the journalist for national TV. You present to millions and millions of people. This is something that you do, and you have studied the craft and you embody it every day. But take us back to that first on air moment, that first time when they said, Blessing, it's now time to go live. Click. How did it feel to be on national TV?
Hmm. My first experience was actually through a competition.
Hmm.
After my studies at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, it's not easy to actually get to work in a media house in Ghana because there are a lot of people who want that opportunity. And there is this myth, if I should say, or this mirage about journalism. It's seen as all rosy. You're going to be on TV, people are going to see you, you'll be a star, everybody will know you, you'll be a celebrity. So, because of that appeal, a lot of people want to do it. And so it has that large or huge mass around it in Ghana. And so that gives the media houses the opportunity to sift through and to look through and to choose whom they want to work with. Now, after my tertiary education, even though the plan was to get employed in the media house, I couldn't because there wasn't space, there wasn't an opportunity like that. I tried a couple of times and it wasn't working. One day I saw an advert. It was from Nana Banama, one of our veterans in journalism. She is an icon here in Ghana and in Africa. And when it comes to journalism, she's one of the known faces, if I should say, the Mavericks. So I saw a video of her talking about those who want to be into media, TV presenting, radio, those who want to be sports journalists. There's a show coming up, and if you want to, you can apply and be part of the reality show. And then the top three out of that competition will be employed by the station and they will be given that shows and all of that. So I saw that as a great opportunity. So I participated. I applied, I went through auditions, I was selected, then came the main show. The main show, I would say, is one of the most taxing shows, reality shows you'd see in Ghana. At that time, it was not a joke at all. Because speaking of extemporizing, that was the moment. You will be tasked to do something you're not even thinking about, and you need to be ready to deliver. So that show was called The Next TV Star by Nanaba Namoa, and it was aired on GH1 TV. My first appearance, I would say, was my first time on TV, and it was through a competition. So the pressure of doing the right thing, because the judges were there to judge, the pressure of doing the right thing, so you are giving the right or the correct feedback, and the pressure of also being on TV and people watching you was there. So it was a double situation for me. You were standing there to deliver, to be judged, and you're also thinking of not being evicted, and you're thinking about being on TV, the whole of Ghana watching you on TV. So all of that were combined for me. That was my experience, and it was not a joke at all. There were times I would be shaking, my voice was quivering, my heart was racing, and I still had to control everything and stand in front of them to look relaxed, to control my voice and deliver. It was a moment of tension for me because your brain needed to be ready to work. It wasn't like, okay, we've given you your script, you've gone through it, there is light, camera, three, two, one, action. No. This time, you're going to stand there. They're going to ask you a question, and you have to deliver. You have to act as if you're hosting a show. Based on the question,
Yes.
you deliver, and at the same time, they are going to judge you. People are going to vote for you, and then people will also be watching you on TV. So it was quite tough for
Yeah.
me, but the experience itself sharpened me. And what really helped me for that period was when I was home, I found myself standing in front of the mirror rehearsing. I didn't know. I loved reading the news. So I would pick the newspaper and begin reading. I would pick my phone, record myself reading. I'll ask myself, okay, imagine you're on Joy FM reading the news. Do your introduction. This is the newspaper. Read the news. So I would record myself. At that time, I had finished senior high school. I'd record myself and then keep the audios. And then I use the mirror as well. I'll stand in front, okay, present the news like you're coming to read current affairs or you're reading business news. I didn't do sports. It's
Yes.
mostly business and then current affairs. How would you introduce yourself? How would you? So I used to do that. So when that opportunity came, it looked like I was ready. I had a lot of lines in my head, a lot of intros in my head to give to every topic, and it made it easier for me. But it was still a tensed one because it was new. People were in the auditorium watching you, people were watching you on TV, and it's also a competition where your grammar is marked, your pronunciation is marked, your tone is marked, your delivery, your the way your brain thinks is marked, your ability to recall information is also marked, and the facts you're given. So it's everywhere, but I think that when you are meant to do something, when you're born with something, no matter what comes your way, you're able to navigate, you're able to go through it and push through it. So my first experience was through a competition, and trust me, it was not rosy at all. But there was tension everywhere, and I had to push
Yeah.
through. Was imagine a storm, walking through a storm. That was how it was.
Yeah, yeah, a perfect storm indeed, and you did
Exactly.
amazing, amazing on the competition. And you've mentioned some things that are just really, really, really great, and I just want to emphasize that for our listeners here. So
Mm.
you mentioned about practice. You know, practice, practice, practice makes perfect, especially within the creative industry. I always find that the one of the best ways to build competence and build confidence is within repetition and practice, right? The more you do
Exactly.
something, the more confident you become at getting it. So that is definitely a key. So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing that message there. And I want to just touch on one more point so that our listeners can potentially apply some of those lessons. So within journalism and within media, what do you think are some of those rules or some of the principles that you have been able to transfer onto teaching?
One thing I learned, I think it was during the Next TV Star competition. I went in for current affairs, and current affairs is all about hardcore. straight to the point, always not really much of relaxation. It has rigid and
Yeah.
stiff, factual, like the BBC style. So that week, we were moving from current affairs to entertainment. One thing Nanaba Namwa mentioned was she doubted that we'll be able to deliver that week because we looked hardcore current affairs. We had all performed. That was our first episode. We had all performed, and she was giving feedback to everybody. I asked her what her feedback was about me, and she struggled to remember because we were about 20 and she couldn't remember. And I was worried. How come she couldn't remember everything? I prepared weeks for this. I put in a lot. How come she couldn't remember what I did? Then she told me I was not memorable. That's why she couldn't remember. There was nothing special about me. That's why she couldn't remember me. She could remember others and their performances, but not me. So that day, I also took that. How can I become memorable? What can I be known for? What should people know about me that should stick so much that the moment you see me, that is what you remember. The moment you hear my name, that is what comes to your mind. So these two things were on my mind: how to be memorable and how to have fun. I noticed that I love reading and I love information and I always want to share, and I love research. I love it when I know a lot about something. I'm able to communicate with so much ease when I have a lot on my mind. So I decided to use that to make a memory of me. I want to research. So if this is the topic, I want to go deep. I want to get all the facts and I want to use it in my presentation. I want to speak in a way that when I'm speaking, you know that I know what I'm saying. I'm not just guessing. I'm telling you something I have worked on. And so you see me as the right person to be speaking. You see me as the right person for the job because you know I am ready and I have the knowledge. And I used that during the competition, and it worked so much that one thing I was known for is that when it comes to giving facts, when it comes to giving information, if you want somebody who has read about the topic, it is blessing and the others.
Blessing. Yes.
And so I use that for that kind of brand I wanted to create for myself during the competition. The next thing I wanted to do was to use that information to communicate in a fun way that you would enjoy when I'm speaking. You have to enjoy what you're doing so the people listening to you can also feel. So when it comes to communication, what you put in is what you get. So if you're giving something boring, you're going to get a bored audience. So I discovered that as well and I used it. And that is how these two things have helped me. That is how these two things have transcended into teacher blessing. Because when it comes to
Yes.
teacher blessing, you notice that I'm not the only English teacher and I'm not the only person teaching English online. What makes me stand out? Aside the knowledge I'm sharing, it's how I'm doing it. And how I'm doing it is just me having fun. So I'm not just coming to stand to say today I want to teach you this. No. I want drama. I want to start with a controversy. I want to get your attention. I want it to be entertained. I want you to smile. I want you to enjoy what I'm saying from one word to the other. If I'm enjoying it, you will enjoy it. So what I would say to journalists, for those who are beginning, for those who are yet to decide, and those who are still in it, enjoy what you're doing. Passion can be felt no matter how much you hide it. Allow it to come out of you. Feel the emotions. If you need to have some sadness in your tone, let it come out. If it has to be jovial, let it come out. There are some people when they're speaking, you don't know whether they're sad or they're happy. You're not able to distinguish between the facial expressions. They're just the same. So the moment you allow yourself to express yourself that way, it makes the people watching you enjoy you. And always remember, when it comes to communication, you cannot do without information. You cannot do without facts. Somebody who has all the areas covered when speaking is listened to. You're seen as the right person. There are a lot of people speaking. Why should they listen to you? There are lots of options. Why should they choose you? You could have something they want. There are lots of journalists in Ghana, but there are those that are most preferred because of the facts, because of the information, especially in this world of information, in this world where information is so viral that even traditional media cannot control it anymore. You cannot help but to also be armed with information, else you'll be left behind. People have access to information. So if you want to be a journalist, you have to be an extra. You have to go the extra mile because what you're about to share, they already know. They have seen it on
Yeah.
people went live to show what you're about to tell them. So before you bring the news, they have the news already. They are the ones giving you the news
Yeah.
actually. So you should be always ahead, giving us something different. And it has to be information. So if this is happening, what else can you bring about the same topic that shows that they don't know? What gap can you create so they see the need to listen to you? There's this
Yeah.
there's this silly statement, if I should say, don't judge a book by its cover. We all judge a book by its cover. We do. We
Yes.
do every time. Before you open your mouth to speak to me, your outlook, your appearance has already spoken to me. And how I'm going to receive what you're about to say depends on how you look. You can decide to look anyhow. You can decide to look like a mad person. The moment you approach anybody as a mad person, before you open your mouth to say anything that is of wisdom, you can have the wisdom of Solomon. They will not listen to you. In fact, your wisdom will be mistaken as foolishness because you look like a mad person. So even when you're telling the people the truth, they don't believe you because you look like a mad person. So the way you look is important. You have to look how you want to be seen and addressed. If you want to be
Mm.
respected, put some respect into your dressing so they can see that.
Yes.
Don't judge a book by its cover with this Gen Z generation trying to challenge the status quo in a very funny way. This is not it. You need to look the part.
Yeah.
And people command respect right from their appearance. Sometimes the way somebody looks can be totally different from what they are saying, and people will actually believe them just by the way they look. So the third will be your appearance. Do not slack about it. And I'll use my content creation as an example. People think English teachers or teachers are not supposed to do makeup when they're teaching or dress up. But I dress up for a 1 minute video. My videos are around, the most is 2 minutes. I do my makeup for almost 1 hour. I style my hair and I
Yes.
wear the best of clothes to come and then do one
Mm-hmm.
minute video because I know the
Yeah.
power of look. I know the power of appearance. There are lots of people scrolling. There are lots of people changing channel to channel. What will make them stop is their parents first before they listen to what you're saying. So your parents always has to be one of your priorities. It has to be good. It has to command attention in
Yes.
a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. So you're able to send your message across and then people are also able to listen to you. So these three things are important. Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Go deeper, go the extra mile because knowledge is common now and you need to go deeper for more knowledge so you can have an upper hand and get attention. The second one is have fun while you're doing it. Enjoy what you're doing. Express your passion. Let people know if you love something. Let people know if you can do something. If you're good at something, let them feel the energy. Let them experience how much you love it. And the final one is your appearance. You can never, ever drop your standards when it comes to appearance. Always meet it up. Always show up and always communicate with how you look.
I really hope our listeners have been paying attention because you have just shared so much information that I know is going to
Yeah.
really change someone's life. The impact from the words and just feeling the passion behind everything you're saying, it truly resonates. So thank you so much, Teacher Blessing,
Okay.
for sharing that lesson and to talk about facts and just to give you your credit and just for the record so that people really understand that this is wisdom coming from experience. You today have over 1.8 million followers on TikTok. You have over 800,000 followers on Instagram. You have over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, millions and millions of views generated. But most importantly, lives changed, real lives changed, impact made to children in Africa and children across the world. So let's just explore a little bit about Teacher Blessing herself. And can you just tell our audience, just in a summary, the organization, the concepts, the mission that you have? How big are you guys? Where what programs do you run, and what sort of things are you doing within your initiatives?
I discovered at a point that there was a gap in literacy. People are lacking basic knowledge, especially in English, because they don't read. I was once in a private school, then I finished my junior high education in a government school. And I could see the gap and the difference, especially those in the government school. Reading was not compulsory. It was advised, it was recommended, but it was not compulsory. So we were not made to read. We were advised to read, but we're not made to read. And I think that we have a lot of issues with our communication, the fluency, our ability to speak confidently because we do not believe in the English we are speaking. We think that we might be wrong, or we are finding it difficult to get the right words when we're speaking. And that is how a lot of people are fighting with confidence and public speaking. So I looked at how this gap was created right from childhood and what can be done. A lot of problems can be solved through reading. Then I thought of the Read with Teacher Blessing School Tour. Now, this is a project that is aimed at closing the gap in literacy, access to literary materials, especially in deprived communities. So we can make sure that at least they are exposed to the books and they have the resources. And the teachers are also there to inspire them and also make them read. We focused on the primary schools, that is the lower and upper level, so that we could catch them young and help them develop the habit of reading. And thanks to all my sponsors who have done great jobs, these people also believe in literacy, and they have always, the Ghana Library Authority is a government institution, but when I approached them, they, as a stakeholder in this field, they were glad to be on board. So the Ghana Library Authority joined in this project. Twillium Ghana is one great company here in Ghana, and they also sponsored with a lot of products. And then we have EPP Books. EPP Books is also a stationery company that also supported with a lot of storybooks we could give the children. So these partners helped us to give materials to the children, and we were also available to explain to them, to sensitize the children on the need for reading. So that is the RTB Book Club, and it was birthed when I was wondering what could be done about our inability to communicate well, inability to stand out, to solve problems on our own. And that came under the Teacher Blessing Outreach, which happens to be my outreach, the NGO. So after that, I also encountered something. During our visits to the school, I noticed that there were a couple of the pupils who were in tattered uniforms, old uniforms, torn ones. And I know that when I was a child, when I was in school, such children were mocked, they were ridiculed because of their uniforms. So we came up with the Free School Uniform Project. I did that in partnership with Gamel Clothing. And our last project is what we call Evolve. Evolve with Teacher Blessing is a mentorship program, a free mentorship program. I would love to have a virtual community of young people, preferably senior high school and tertiary education. This group is going to be a platform or a source of good influence, positive influence when it comes to their studies, their career, friendship, social, everything concerning their lives. I, in addition to other people I would consult, would come on board to assist them, counseling and everything. So this is called Evolve with Teacher Blessing, and we look forward to having a tour as well, a senior high school tour next year. So we can also go around empowering the young people. This will be rolled out this month. We are going to open.
November.
Everybody is they are free to join, and as long as they have access, internet access, they can join, and we'll see what God can use this initiative to do through us.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that blessing. And I think for context here, this is something that reminds me of how our journey began and how we got to know each other. I really, really have always respected the work that you do with the foundation,
Yeah.
reading the school uniforms, and now, of course, the mentorship that you're doing. And I think both of us see how important education is specifically for children in Africa. So we will continue to support you as much as we can. So all the
Thank
links and
you.
all the information to sign up for the mentorship we'll put in our description for people to really get involved in that, because it is a important time in your adolescence, and having the right people, the right influence around you makes a big difference. I know our listeners wouldn't forgive me if I didn't ask you about some of the wisdom and advice you have for social media. You know, you have built an incredible platform
Thank
that
you.
reaches so many people around the world. But what you do different is you use that platform to serve, right? And I think for a lot of people, they are tempted to go viral, they're tempted to trend. So, what advice would you have for some of our listeners who want to build a platform and grow it, but they're doing it for good?
There are a couple of things to consider when it comes to content creation. But one thing you would want to address, first of all, is the mindset. If you think that it's only bad things that trend, well, you would want to consider me. I don't do bad things. So you don't need to do bad thing. You don't need to fight with somebody. You don't need to say silly stuff. You don't need to do silly stuff just to trend. There are people like me who are doing good things, I believe, and it's still working. There are still people who are interested in what you want to share as long as it's a good thing. So the mindset has to change. Even though we are in a world where sometimes wisdom is mocked, there are still wise people out there. The truth is the truth, and you really cannot run away from it. So if it's good, it's good. So you should approach it with this mindset. It will help you. If you don't, you'll find yourself at a point in your content creation journey derailing, going differently because you could see your colleagues, people you started before trending and getting the numbers because of some silly stuff they're doing. You want to consider your future. You want to consider where you want to be and how you want to be seen by the world. You first want to think about this. I am going out to present a brand to the people. What should I present? What do I want to be known for? That is one thing. Defining your purpose and what you want to be known for should be the second thing beside after the perception and how you see social media, that even a good thing must trend or can trend. That is number one. The second one is your brand, what you want to be known for. If you're able to define that, you will not be drawn or thrown away by the wind anytime. You're focused, you know what you want, you know what you're about, your vision is defined, your mission is defined, and that's what you stick to. Consistency helps in growth. The more you're consistent with your brand, the more people admire you, the more people stay, the more people trust you. When I come to you and I tell you that I have a yellow bag and that is my only bag, and tomorrow I come to you and I say I have a green bag and that's my only bag, you're not going to believe me the next time I speak to you. So staying true to your brand is more important. Identify your brand, discover who you want to be known for. And the next thing is be consistent with it. Everything you do must agree with that brand. I mentioned consistency, being consistent with your brand and being consistent with your content. You cannot post one day and expect to get 1 million views. When I started, it wasn't like that. I actually started with text. I was just texting. I would type everything and it's going to be like a flyer. So I would say, don't say. And then the next is say. Then I'll come down why. Then I'll give you why you shouldn't say that. They didn't read. People don't like reading. So I had to sit down and revisit, look at what else I can do. What can I do to make it better to get the attention of the people? Then I came up with the videos, which over time grew. In fact, I started on TikTok. That was my first platform. It was not on Instagram, it was not on Facebook, it was on TikTok. Then when I noticed that the interest was there, I decided to come to Facebook. Then Facebook was growing. Then I came to Instagram. Then from there, I went to YouTube. Maybe you want to take it one after the other. Because probably when you start all platforms at the same time, you might not have the time and the experience to manage all at the same time. And that might affect the growth of your platform and your brand. So maybe you want to take it one at a time, just as you can manage so that it grows for you. You take care of it so it can go far. So these are quite important. And understand that when we talk of consistency, it's not about posting every day. Every day is not consistency. Every day is not consistency. Consistency is your ability to show up and make people know that, hello, I'm here.
Yes.
If it's once a week, make it once a week. Every week, come up and say, hello, I'm here. This is my brand. With the content you're creating, make them know remind them of your brand until it gets stuck in their brains. So consistency is not creating content, 100 contents, 10 contents a day, posting as, no, that's not consistency. That is actually noise. But you want to have your own schedule where you say every Monday I'm going to post, Wednesday I'm going to post, Friday I'm going to post. These are your days and you stick to that. That is consistency. Showing up when you need to, when you plan to. That helps you. So these will help you. I hope I've been able to make sense and you have written something, because
No,
I have
no,
said a
yes.
lot in a moment.
No, honestly, I have my pen and paper because I said I am in class today. I am sitting right at the front of the teacher's
Thank
class.
you.
So, first one, guys, for our listeners. So, Blessing has carefully given you a blueprint
Yes.
on social media and the steps that you need to take. So, we learned first, have a purpose for your content, decide what it is you want to do and what you want to be known for. That is important. And don't listen to the myths that positive content doesn't grow or positive content can't go viral. And then, two, identify your brand. What do you want to be known for? How do you want people to feel? How do you want people to perceive you when they see your content? All of these things are very, very important. And then you told us consistency, consistency, consistency. Set up a plan on how often you're going to post in the week, when you're going to post in the week, what day you're going to post in the week, what time, and make sure that it is a rhythm that supports your growth. Don't overwhelm yourself with so many platforms. Focus on the ones that you can grow and take it one step at a time. Thank you for sharing that. If you can just share a final message in terms of faith and how you stay grounded, because you mentioned it at the beginning, you mentioned it in your work, and you mentioned it in your purpose, right? So we can see that faith really is that grounding factor that keeps you there.
Yes.
So, can you just share a message to us for our listeners just to resonate in terms of how faith and fuel go hand in hand on the journey to your passions?
My journey with God has been one lesson after the other. One thing I have learned recently, I was enlightened on this, that the kind of relationship we have with God, the relationship we have with God is that of a father and a child, a father and son. And if we trust Him as our father, if you know your father loves you so much and He will do everything to make you comfortable, safe, happy, and grow well, you're going to trust Him and believe in Him. Now, the twist is that God is not human, God is God. He's a spirit and He sees tomorrow from today. So I believe that this is a God that is my Father who loves me. And because He loves me, everything that happens to me today is for my own good tomorrow. When I lost my mother, I had a lot of questions. I was wondering why a good woman who loved God, who raised us in the fear of God, who had only one prayer: God, give me enough years on earth. Let me live long to see this, that, and that before I die, could not get her only prayer answered. And it broke me. It made me wonder if I was safe at all in faith, having all my faith in God. But I noticed that God sees things differently, and life is run by God. We are not just here to play mama and dada and go. We are here for a mission. When it's time and you're done with your mission, you go. And you have no idea what is waiting for you. So it taught me a lesson that even in pain, He still loves me. And so all I need to do is to trust Him and believe in Him. So my faith in God is the foundation for everything I do. If I get an idea, I go to Him because I trust Him. I pray about it. What do you say about this? How do I do this? What do I do? I celebrated my birthday not long ago. I didn't want to do photo shoots, nothing. I just wanted to spend time with God. I wanted to know what He wanted me to do in my next 1 year, this new year I've entered.
Yeah.
And this is the, I would say, this is the only birthday I have consciously decided I'm not going to do photo shoot. I'm not going to post that it's my birthday. I'm not going to ask people it's my birthday, so bring me gifts. I'm not going to do any other thing. I just want to spend time with God because did you know that it didn't even get to the day? I had planned that I'm going to spend 3 days, including my birthday, somewhere quite far away, serene, so I can. It did not get to that day. I started getting everything I was supposed to do. I didn't talk to a pastor. I didn't talk to a prophet. It came. He spoke to me even before the day came. And that made me know how God has been longing to speak to me, how he's ready to, the moment you say you avail yourself, He's ready to speak to you. And I loved it. And
Yeah.
when you know what God has told you and you have an idea of the will of God, there's this certainty in you. Nothing breaks you because you know what He has told you. It's not a pastor who told you. It's not a prophet who told you. That will give you some space for you to doubt, what is he right, is he wrong? No. It's a personal encounter you had with God. And you know this is God because this is not natural. The experience was not natural. So you have that personal experience with God, and that builds the foundation of your faith. You don't know God through your pastor, you know God through a personal experience. So you're able to stand firm when things happen. So this has helped me. There are times when things are not going that way, but because I know God told me to do it, I keep going. I have the confidence to go back to God and say, "You said I should do this, though. What? How come it's not working? What is it? What are we supposed? What am I missing?" There's that confidence you have when you know that this is from God, and you're pushing it with every form of energy you have. And I would say that the voice of God does not always come as a thunder. It doesn't always come as a dream. Sometimes it can come through a conversation with a friend. And that is how Teacher Blessing, our classes started. People had asked, "Do you do class?" I said, "No, no." I was actually afraid to announce classes, my online course. Then I was talking to a friend of mine and I told him, "People have been asking me about this, but I really don't think I should do it because I don't think I'm a teacher, even though I call myself Teacher Bless. I'm not ready to teach." They said, "No, you should do it. You should start right now." So he told me, "Do it now. I need to see you doing it right now." He gave me that pressure. I started it. We started with only about average of 20 people registering for a class. And I remember clearly 2 years ago or a year ago, it was 31st night. We were crossing over as we do, and I clearly hear in my ears, "Open your mouth wide and I'll fill it." And that was my message for the year. We were entering the new year. So we had started classes, and trust me, I pray about my classes. I write down the number of students I want to register, and I pray about it that this is what I want. So when we started, I was praying about it and I remembered what I heard in church on 31st night. Open your mouth wide and I feel. I was okay. I had not registered 100 students before. So I said, I want 100 students. Within 1 week, we got 100 students. I was about to go back to tell God that, God, thank you, oh, you've done it for me. Then I remembered the voice again, which said, open your mouth wide. And I said, okay,
Open your
I
mouth.
want another 100. Another 100 came. And then what happened was at the end of the registration, we had registered over 300 students from an average of 20 students
Wow.
to 300 students. This can only be done by faith. If I had no relationship with God, I keep saying teacher blessing is a product of faith in God. It's a product of God. It was never part of my plan to be a teacher. And as a journalist, it was never part of my plan. I'm now a trained teacher. My mother called me and said that when she was alive, she said, I told you to be a teacher. And you said no. Look at you now. You're calling yourself teacher blessed. I said, yes, you were
Yeah.
right in a way, but I
Yes.
enjoyed,
With pride. Yeah.
yes, but I enjoyed the journey. And now I'm a kind of teacher I love. I would love to see with that
Yeah.
background of journalism, it's able to sync and blend so beautifully. I think that defined the teacher blessing so well. So faith is everything for me. Having faith in God, knowing that there is a God, and having faith in His love. God is a cheat code, and I feel
Yeah.
everybody should have this. And the thing is that it's not even hidden. If men were to discover this, they would have hidden it. But He Himself has made Himself available to us. Have faith in me, my love for you, embrace me, and life will be easier for you. So, faith is my foundation, and I would entreat everybody. If you would want to have an easier life, try the God solution. It's the best. It's the ultimate. It's the easiest way out.
Thank you, thank you,
You're
thank you,
welcome.
thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Teacher
too.
Blessing. Amen.
Amen.
We have been to class and we have now been to church all in one podcast. Nah, thank you so much, Teacher Blessing. I am not going to say anything else on that. That was well said, and I know our listeners are just downloading that blessing, and your words are really impacting us. So thank you so much for joining us and coming on our episode. It's truly been a pleasure. We have talked about your journey. We've talked about the early beginnings in Ghana, and then we moved on to journalism, school, parents, passion, social media, and of course, the foundation that is God. So, thank you so much for being here with us. And we really, really applaud and respect everything that you're doing. May God continue to bless you, your hands, your work, your team, and we just know that the impact that you're making is going to serve not just this generation, but generations to come. So thank you so much for your service to our community and our continents. Thank you, Teacher Blessing.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you and to your audience. And I must say that you're doing an excellent job. Thank you for having this vision. And I'm happy that you're doing this. And I know that through this, a lot of people will be impacted. We know that you're going to connect great people with great people. And talents will be refined, lives will be changed. So, congratulations to you, and I'm happy to be part of this story, this beautiful story of yours.
Amazing, yeah. And once again, to our listeners, thank you for joining and spending time with us. If you want to follow Teacher Blessing and get more insights on her journey and the things that she does supporting in Ghana and in Africa, please follow the links in the description and connect with Teacher Blessing, support her. To our listeners on YouTube, please subscribe and follow us on our journey as we continue to bring you more amazing, inspiring minds from all across Africa. Thank you for joining our podcast. I've been your host, Collins Yatanga. Until next time, stay invincible.